Hey guys, so today I'm doing a video on the age-old question of which to choose, AMD or Intel. There are multiple reasons why you should choose both. I personally prefer Intel, but non-biased video, apart from the fact I only have an Intel chip with me, which is a Pentium 3, pretty ancient chip, only a single core. So, first off, AMD, the classic that everyone chooses for gaming. Well, there are reasons why you should choose Intel for gaming. It is lower priced, so good for more people, because it's cheaper, easier to get. And you do get a lot of power to boot. What, like a 6-core AMD FX 6300 for 80 quid, I believe? Alright, so you can get the AMD FX 6300 Black Edition, which is more powerful, better for gaming. For the small price of £79.96, which is 3.5 gigahertz to a boost clock of 4.1, 8 meg of level 3 cache, 6 meg of level 2, only uses 95 watts, which is quite unusual actually. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why many people buy AMD. Cheap, and you get a lot of power. 6 cores running at 3 gigahertz, that's a lot of power. So let's say it's normally going to be running about 3.7 gigahertz. 22.2 gigahertz you're going to have there. Now we go over to Intel. So Intel have some very high powered chips, not necessarily for gaming unless you go for unless you go higher up for more powerful ones. I've got an i7 4770K, which is like 250 quid right now. It's only a quad core, but it's running 3.5 gigahertz with boost up to 3.9 turbo boost. But it does have the main Intel technology, logical or virtual processors, or whatever you want to call them. So mine has 8 logical processors. I have 8 logical processors, and Windows uses 4 of them to run. So if I'm doing generally nothing, the 4 virtual processors, which just enable the actual cores really, basically, to do more than one thing at once, will run Windows, but performance, so look, that's 8 cores there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So currently I've got 2 cores being used. None of them are the actual physical cores, they're all the virtual ones. So when I'm doing stuff on Windows uses the virtual cores, but games and other programs use the actual cores, which are more powerful. This does, like, give me better performance, really. Another main argument that people have against AMD is the fact that they run very hot. And this is true, because Ollie's FX 6300 that he has, when he had his stock processor, stock cooler, it had to run, I think he said about 2000 RPM, or, well, it was over 1000. Mine normally idles at about 1000. Normally stays at there, no matter what I'm doing generally, which is good. Keeps the temperatures cool, even though the stock processors are awful, the stock coolers are awful. Another main difference is that in Intel's actual chip, Intel's actual, like, thing, this one is an old one. It has the same design as AMD currently have. So what it has pins on the CPU, which are what gives it all its power and data transfer. So that's what AMD currently uses, whereas Intel now use pads, and the pins are on the motherboard. This design of pins on the actual CPU means that they could get bent quite easily, seeing as they're getting thinner and thinner. Another problem with Intel is its motherboards can be expensive as well, because you need to buy one with an Intel chip, and then they're like, prices boom. Another main difference is the fact that simply AMD wants to use a lot of power. Yeah, so as I was saying, they use an absolute butt ton of power. Most AMD chips use well over 100 watts, whereas most Intel chips are like under, I think mine's 85 or 75 watts, and that's for a really powerful CPU. So yeah, I'm going to put some benchmarks on the screen, because benchmarks are always good.
So as we can see here, I decided to use the i7 4770K, which is the flagship model of the Haswell editions of i7. as the AMD FX8350, which is generally quite a beastie CPU, 8 cores. As we can see, the i7 beats the 8350 on everything by generally quite a large margin, except for pass mark, which is only by a margin of about 100.
My recommendation would be Intel, because they're just not a specific chip for gaming. They can game at really high settings, and they won't bottleneck with anything really. Look at the latest Pentium. It's only a Pentium, it's only a dual core, but it doesn't bottleneck with the 970. But if you're on a budget, or you simply just want your machine for gaming and have no other considerations, and know it won't overheat, go for AMD really, because AMD, they will just get you high frames in games, but they'll get you frames in games. It will be best flipping FPS per dollar probably. And Intel aren't just for gaming. If you want to use an Intel chip, you can use it for rendering, server work, you can use it for really anything. You're not going to be limited to just gaming, and you're not going to have to specifically design your machine around trying to keep your chip cool. Rate, comment, subscribe, leave a like, leave more comments down below, subscribe again, do whatever you want. Send your friends here, have recommendations for what videos you want next. If you don't really know anything, just ask us. Thanks for watching.